think for so long I felt really unheard, especially as a child. I always felt like I was in this position of invisibility. Then I started writing short stories for school. It was the one thing I seemed to really excel at, and there was like a sparkle to it, and it got a different reaction from people. When I wrote, then I felt that the teacher suddenly thought, oh, maybe there is something worthy about this little white trash entity who sits in the back of my classroom. I live in the Mile End neighborhood of Montreal. I think it's a magical apartment, probably because I've completed all my books while living here. Each book builds on the last one. So far, they've all been set in Montreal, and then it's almost as though this idea of Montreal, with each book, I change the physics of it and allow different magical things to happen within it. And every time I do that, that moves on to the next novel. I think of my characters as collaborators. Sometimes I'm so pleased with them and I just find them so attractive, and they've just done all this wonderful stuff for me, and like I've learned so much from them that day. But then other days they're just lazy and they refuse to even get out of bed, and I'm like, no, we have a novel. You have to like engage with the plot. Like you have to do all sorts of things, like work with me. I feel like I'm living in a novel. They say that your fiction kind of imitates your life, but then I find a lot of ways life just starts to imitate my fiction. I think my writing now has become so much more politically evolved, almost like this is a puppet theater and I'm putting on this puppet play, but make no mistake, I'm behind it with all my lived experience and my political views and ideas about gender and society. When you create these characters, I think you're always, as a fiction writer, you become very aware of who a character is and what version of themselves they're performing in different circumstances. I've always been interested in that idea. That's, I think, where creativity comes from, this idea that you find different ways to perform the self. The most wonderful thing about receiving the fellowship is just that sense of validation. When I found out, it just gave me this wonderful feeling that I had built something that was of significance and that I've been able to move people and communicate with them in different ways. I feel very much that I'm at the beginning of things. I mean, I've mistaken endings for beginnings and beginnings for endings before. But I feel like there's something that's just waiting for me that I haven't got to yet. I'm just at the beginning of what I'm gonna do.